Guys, we are going to make our own organic soil mix. Now this is cocoa fiber. I bought it in a brick. You have to add a lot of water to saturate it to be able to break it up. Roughly 10 to 12 liters worth. And it makes out to be about 20 liters. So we're going to add some of this. Now, if you're going to go with the cocoa fiber, make sure it is thoroughly rinsed in fresh water before you use it. It can get quite salty, but this stuff is good because Canada's a good brand, I guess. So I'm going to give you the recipe that I'm going to use for my organic mix. So 20 liters of cocoa fiber or coco coir or whatever, C-O-I-R. I'll put the recipe below too. We're going to add 1 cup of kelp meal, quarter cup to about half a cup, maybe more like a quarter cup of blood meal, and a cup and a half to roughly 2 cups of tomato tone. Now this is all based on a cubic foot, which is about 28 liters. The reason why I'm adding this is look at the ingredients in it here, guys. It's got feather meal, it's got poultry manure, bone meal, alfalfa meal, green sand. It's got all sorts of stuff in there that's good. That's why I went with this stuff, because it's an all-in-one package. Makes sense, right? Just keep it simple. Fucking no need to get into ridiculousness here. Of course, you need to aerate your soil with perlite. This is just Miracle Grow, the only shit I could find. It's fucking perlite. It does what perlite does. Drains soil. Adds for oxygen to get to the roots. That's all it's there for. Gonna add a little bit of dolomite lime, which is basically a pH buffer. Now, cocoa fiber is a pH buffer. A lot of people say you don't need to really worry about your pH as much when growing organic, which I believe. But this here is also a great source of calcium and magnesium, which plants really do need. So I went with a granular kind. It is fast acting, which is what they say is what you want. You want a fast acting one. So I'm going to add just a little bit of that. Probably like, I'm not even going to measure. I'm just going to put some in my hand and you'll see. This is water-soluble microzyme. Goes a long way. I just put like a quarter teaspoon or something in there, rinsed it, get it all in the fiber. And I'll also use it throughout my grow, just to be safe. Of course, some worm casting. That's about 10 liters left in there. I already used half the bag to make another batch out of peat moss, which I'll get into in a minute. And last but not least, some granite dust. Now, I live in an area with fucking shit tons of granite. And because I'm fucking cheap, well not cheap, broke, I can't really afford to go out and fucking, well, azomite is cheaper and it is better. If you can get azomite, get it. But if not, granite dust will work just as well from what I've been told. Alright, so without further ado, let's get down to it, shall we? Alright, so that's about half of this bag, maybe a little less of perlite. Add a little more. It's, people say 1 part perlite, 1 part coconut fiber, and 1 part worm castings. I'm going to go about, I don't know, how big is this bag? It's about friggin' 8 liters. I'm just going to eyeball it up. I'm going to use about 4 liters of perlite, just because. And if it looks like I need more, I'll add a little more. So I'm going to add that in. I added the rest of my worm castings here. So that's about 10 liters I added. So I'm going to mix all this up right now. Alright guys, very messy job. I'm going to add the rest of my perlite. I'm not going to overthink it. I want it to have good drainage. So I'm just going to add the rest. So you're looking at you're looking at approximately 1 part coconut fiber to half part perlite, half part worm castings right now. Which is respectable. So I'm going to mix this in and I'll get back to you. Alright, so now I got 1 part coconut fiber, half part worm castings, half part perlite. This is your basic run-of-the-mill potting mix. Before I put anything else in here, guys, I'm going to take out cups because I can't put seedlings into this soil, or I can put seedlings into this, but once I add my fertilizers and stuff, I can't put seedlings into it. So I'm going to take this soil as is for seedlings right now. That's all I'm going to do. Alright guys, I just took some cups. Why so many? Because I'm growing my own vegetables in this while I'm at it. Alright, so let's get to adding the mixtures now. The amendments or the fertilizers, whatever you want to call them. God, I can't remember the terminology. We'll get into that in later videos. I'm going to go into detail throughout this whole grow about what everything's good for and what it can be used for. But for now, we're just going to do the basic soil recipe. All right, basic potting mix now. 1 part coconut fiber, 1 part or half part worm castings, half part perlite. Now, roughly this here is roughly a cubic foot. So now what we're going to do is add the fertilizer, the organic fertilizers to suit that. So here's the first one. 1 cup kelp meal. Now it doesn't have to be exact. It can be a little over, a little under. It's not going to hurt. You're going to add more stuff as the grow goes on. So don't worry about being exact about it. So about a cup, a little more, a little less. 1 cup already in there. So about 1.5, maybe 1 3/4 roughly of tomato tone. And about a 1/4 cup of blood meal to get a nice source of nitrogen in that soil. Alright guys, I added 3 cups of granite dust. This is roughly 4 cups. It's a little bit frozen, it's been outside. And now I'm just going to add a handful of lime. Alright guys, that's about it, just a handful. Sprinkle that in, just for good measure. Don't need a lot, don't need to be perfect with it either. You don't want to put too much, but just put a little bit in there for good measure. Now I'm going to mix this around. Alright guys, so I mixed it all around, it's all mixed. And there you have it. Now, you're going to want to sit this for 3 to 4 weeks and let it cook. All that means is every couple days, put some water over it, keep it moist. Not too wet, but moist. Stir it up, get the air flowing in there every couple days. And in about 3 to 4 weeks, all these things here, all the alfalfa meals, feather meals, bone meals, and kelp meals, and blood meals are going to break down into a source of nutrients that the plant can use. Now, in addition to doing this, I also made a batch of the peat moss because I want to see what works better, cocoa fiber or peat moss. So we're going to grow the same strain, 1 in peat moss, 1 in cocoa fiber. The peat moss, if you buy Sunshine Mix number 4, just add a little bit more perlite, same thing, 1 part Sunshine Mix to half part worm castings, and chuck in, I mean roughly, they don't have to be exact, and chuck in a little extra perlite if you feel like it's needed for good drainage. And I didn't add any lime to that because it already comes with lime in it. So there's no point in adding any more. And I'm excited for this whole new world, guys. As the series goes on, I'm going to go in depth about meals, like bone meals, blood meals. I'm going to go in depth about guano and manures. And yeah, basically I'm going to share the knowledge I've learned and share it with you guys. And yeah, so with that being said, guys, let's start fucking doing it organically. Cook for 3-4 weeks, then she's ready to use. But remember, you can't put seedlings into this. You have to use your regular old potting mix that you took out prior to adding your nutrients. Don't forget. And then once the seedling gets established, then you can transplant into this. But until that day comes, happy growing.